Hey, everybody, welcome back to another Beer Time with Big Bird, Friday night beer time with your host. That's me. I am Colin, that Big Bird looking fella that is one half of the Salt the Streets empire. We've got one heck of a show for everybody today. We've got a lot of little things to talk about, some big things. Bilbo, what's up, buddy? Doing great on this Friday. Doing great. So a little housekeeping before we get into today's beer of the week. Make sure the show cat gets comfortable. Thank you very much for just making yourself at home on the mixer. Last week, if you missed it, episode 145 of Salt the Streets was a fantastic show. Donovan was over here in the studio, and we got into approximately 6 hours of shenanigans talking about the end of the world. I'm pretty sure I made his brain turn to jelly when I talked about the current economic situation on the global stage and the health of the petrodollar. And then we had a really fun grab bag after that to bring it back to life. So if you guys haven't seen that yet, be sure to check that out. It's on, if you're an audio guy, you can get it on Spotify and any other podcast platform. And of course, right here on the Salted Streets YouTube channel. Whew. So now that is over, I believe that's all the housekeeping I have. A little bit more. Next week for episode 146, we've got a very, very big, fun show coming up. We got a special guest coming in who I'm going to just dangle right out there and just leave that. We got a special guest who's going to join us all the way from the wrong coast over there on the East Coast. So be happy to have them in, and it's going to be fantastic. We're going to be talking about all sorts of freedom and liberty-loving situations. And so, yeah, it's going to be fantastic. Make sure you're following us on all of our channels. Donovan is at alpaca_Donovan on Instagram and at Salt of the Street on Twitter, and I am at Big Bird Offie and all the other things. And of course, we are at Salt the Street on all the things, including Patreon, patreon.com/saltthestreets, where you can get our once a month newsletters. And and then you just go over there. You're helping us by supporting us and helping us make more and better content just like this. Okay. So today's episode is brought to you again by the Salt the Streets Book Club. I practiced the finger and I still got the angle off. Salt the Streets Book Club, we got a brand new book club video out now, again, over on the YouTube. Just dropped this past week after the plague ran through both of our families. We're running a little bit behind this month so far, but it's out now. You can watch it at your leisure. I suggest you finish watching this video and then go watch that video because it's pretty awesome. But if you have not had a chance to check out the full book club in its glory, I'm going to be playing about a 5 or 6 little minute preview, a little snippet of this month's book club at the end of today's show. That's how we're going to end it. So be sure to stick around for the whole deal and get in on some of that sweet SOS book club action. But as for today's show, we've got a lot to cover, and we're going to need a beer to do it. And of course, we're going to be drinking Bud Light. I mean, I would never drink a Bud Light on this show. Come on now, you know better. I'm drinking a Monk's Indiscretion, which is a pretty powerful beer. It's a nice, I think it's 11%, 10%. This one's 10%, okay. Nice Abbey Ale, real thick Belgian deliciousness. I think it just is suitable for our show today. It's going to be really, really interesting. We've got all manner of stuff to cover. Some online things, some internet culture things, some nuclear things, some nuclear missiles and nuclear energy. You know, all manner of shit. Look at that. Look at that. I didn't even screw up the pour. Didn't screw up the pour. Look at that. Bilbo, you'd be so proud of me. All right, let's do this. Oh, cheers. That's fantastic. Oh, it's thick, it's rich, it's just wonderful. All right, so let's do this now. We're going to start off with some lighter stuff. This is a brand new news website. Nice inch foam, indeed. It's not too much head, but just the right amount. That's what she said. So we got a brand new news site, just kind of dropped. It's in its early stages right now. It doesn't officially go live until May, but it's called The Publica, or thepublica.com. And it is built and it's created by two creators that I really like and enjoy their content, Jeremy Hambley and Sydney Watson. So we'll just read a little bit about what they're going to be doing here. The Public started as an idea between two YouTubers who were keen to do something a bit different. It was founded in the hopes of offering a more neutral alternative to today's many biased media companies and outlets. Media and journalists are saturated. Not to mention, battle lines have been drawn as things become increasingly polarized and pundits make their living riling up their fan bases. While we don't claim to be without our own biases, as a group of politically and culturally oriented people, we want to bring nuanced back, I would imagine that means nuance, back into the fray. Everyone has an opinion, a bias, their own leaning. We think that's great, so long as we can talk about it. The Publica is a brainchild of Jeremy Hambley and Sydney Watson. This project is not meant to be another right-wing or left-wing publication, but rather a space for free thinkers and mischief makers to hear all sorts of new ideas, news, commentary, and thought. The Publica is not funded by big-name donors. It is exclusively funded by members and, of course, Jeremy and Sydney. Nobody is behind us pulling the strings, and we're going to keep it that way. So you've got Sydney Watson is the editor-in-chief, and Jeremy Hambley of The Quartering is the COO. Their goals going to be a little interesting. They're sitting at 1.52% of their membership goal, which is not bad for technically not even launching yet. Because even though this website's up, they're not really actively building it yet. They're still running tests, fixing little issues as it comes along. They've only got a few kind of placeholder articles and videos up right now, but it's a good taste of what's to come, so we'll get into more of that in a minute. So here's what we want to do. This site is for news and commentary, absolutely, but our team also wants to keep growing and expanding. That's where you as members come in. Because we do not take money from advertisers, big-name donors, or crowdfunding sites, it's up to our community to keep this initiative alive, and because that's the case, we want to be as transparent as we can about what we're doing with our membership's money. Our immediate goals. At sign-up, memberships will gain access to the Publica exclusive podcasts, news, commentary, deep dives, and video reporting. Each month, our podcasters will create a members-only show that you can access right here. Our writers will produce all sorts of opinion and deep dive pieces that also can be accessed with your membership. Of course, to keep the lights on, your memberships will also will allow us to keep and grow to have 5 to 10 original shows and podcasts, 4 to 5 staff writers, and an investigative reporter. They will allow us to cover our hosting and operational costs. Nothing worse than the 404 page, yeah? So that's like, yeah, when you go to type in a website or click on a link and it's just 404 error. It just means there's dead space out there. We will also gain access to members-only Discord, where we hope to create a neat community of people as well as do some community organizing to address things going on in our own backyards. Further down the line, as we grow and expand, our objective is to produce long-form documentaries, staff on-the-ground reporters who can go to events as they unfold, expand our efforts in mobilizing on-the-ground voting, form support groups for men and women, provide our staff and podcasters with necessary support, equipment, and team they need to keep producing their work, and of course, Sydney can hire an editor-in-chief and just become a content creator once again. So right now, if you go to thepublica.com, like I said, they've got some articles up there right now from various people. Haley Kennington, I don't know who that is. But some of them are written by Jeremy themselves or Sydney. Most of these things all went up the day they kind of actually activated the website, so we're back in April, just yesterday, April 13th, when they first announced. They've got an exclusive video from Savannah Hernandez and a video from Jeremy, which I think is just linked to one of his YouTube videos, but more to come. And then, of course, in their members' content, they'll have, member-only essays and articles, and of course, you can join their Discord. So yeah, it's very exciting. I like it when content creators get together and make cool new stuff like this. I'm very interested to see where this goes. I, for one, will probably be becoming a member because I really like Jeremy Hambley and Sydney Watson. So I would like to see what they got going on. So I'll probably buy in and see what happens. So yeah, there's that. It'll go live, yeah, in another few weeks. So they said May yesterday when they first kind of previewed this last night. So exciting things, something to check in on. And some of the names they dropped included somebody like Lauren Southern. I'm assuming they're reaching for Lauren for some of her documentary skills. Again, Savannah Hernandez doing on-the-ground reporting. So they're trying to work with her and a bunch of other writers and other creators in the space. So it'll be really exciting to see what happens in the future. And on this same note, we're going to be switching over to another kind of newer online platform. This one obviously has been around for a hot minute, and that, of course, is Rumble. Rumble's been making a lot of big moves out here, and this is yet another one. The first GOP debate of the 2024 presidential primaries will be streamed exclusively on Rumble. So Rumble, we've seen the rise of Rumble, particularly after Steven Crowder jumped on there. Even during while he was still ending his contract, I think we talked about the time, he did a live stream on Rumble for what was it? I can't even remember what the live stream was for now. Ooh, yeah, that's my bad. But anyways, he did a very big live stream. What the hell was he live stream? Why am I drawing a blank now? But anyways, very, very popular. It blew away. I want to say it was like a State of the Union address or something like that. But he live streamed it, and it was like a very, very successful live stream. It was like proof of concept. He blew away all of Rumble's numbers that they had previously set, and this, that, and the other thing. And since then, obviously, he's become a contracted, he works with Rumble exclusively. The Mug Club is now only, it's powered by Rumble. It's over there on Rumble, so you can go over there and watch it. They're still doing the free week. I don't know if this is the last week they're ending it. Might be. I thought it was like the 20th, but for a little while, you can still get in on some YouTube or some the free Mug Club access and see if you want to participate and join his Mug Club and do all that. But anyways, they've got something big going on here. I mean, they recently live stream President Trump's speech after he was indicted over in New York City. After that, I think they were the main host of that speech. So that was a pretty groundbreaking deal for them. But obviously, they're going to be breaking further and further into the Republican side of media. So this comes directly from Rumble. And they say from Longboat Key, Florida, Rumble, the video sharing platform, announced today that it was entering a partnership with the Republican National Committee to be the exclusive live stream producer for the first debate of the Republican presidential primaries. The debate will be held in Milwaukee, Wisconsin in August of 2023 and will be hosted and broadcast on cable television by Fox News and Young America's Foundation. As the RNC's digital live streamer partner, Rumble will feature the debate on the platform's homepage and make it available for viewers across the country on the RNC's Rumble channel. So very important that you'll be able to watch it on Rumble via the RNC's channel there. Also, we'll be streaming with Fox News and Young America's Foundation, which I believe Young America's, is that Charlie Kirk's outlet? I don't really recall. Quote, I am so excited to announce that Rumble will be the RNC's official streaming partner for the first Republican primary debate, said RNC Chairwoman Ronna Romney McDaniel. I don't know why I think she did drop officially the Romney. I can't really recall, but she's hot garbage, but that's fine. This is a big step for our party and our country. As Republican leaders, we must continue to hold big tech accountable for their biases and silencing of conservatives. Please, people deserve a fair, unbiased platform, and that's exactly what this partnership will provide. An opportunity for voters to watch the next president of the United States on the Republican debate stage on Rumble. Rumble's mission to protect free speech is not just a slogan. It runs It runs through the DNA of our company, said Rumble chairman and CEO Chris Pavlovsky. We are thrilled to partner with the RNC to bring the debate stage online and help promote on open dialogue. Rumble saw record traffic and user engagement during the 2022 midterms. It was the midterms. It was the midterm coverage. For fuck's sakes, Colin, get your shit together. It was Crowder live streaming the 2020 midterms. That's 2022 midterms. That's what it was. Ugh, duh. And we're ready to be a premier platform for all candidates in the 2024 elections. Well, if their relationship with Crowder is anything, and their viewership issues they had during Trump's speech after indictment, they've got a lot to work on the back end in their infrastructure, because there was a lot of people that weren't able to access some of the streams while it was happening because there was just too much traffic. And on that note, I thought it was really interesting. I've been watching Crowder since he came back, and I don't know if it's just me. Maybe there was too much of a pause between last year's Crowder and this year's Crowder, but I'm finding myself not enjoying the show as much as I used to. And I was just kind of curious today, so I was wondering what the numbers were going to look like on his views on the videos and this, that, and everything. And I think it's really interesting. We're going to compare and contrast his current YouTube views versus current Rumble views, and then some of his old YouTube views compared to his old Rumble views. So his last, let's go back to when he first came back on. It was Rumble round 1. We're back on. So when he first jumped over to Rumble and came back 25 days ago, I haven't watched any of his new content. And isn't Dave gone now? Dave is gone now, Bilbo Swaggins. Dave's gone now. He's out being a comic, being busy. He made a little video at one point on social media that said, you know, he's very happy they're back doing all this stuff, but he was unable to, you know, carry out his duties in the third chair because he's got too much else going on. So Dave Landau is no longer there, and that might be part of the issue. We've had rotating people in the chairs now, in the third chairs. We've seen Alex Jones. We've seen the Hodge twins. Of course, Pops Crowder is there a lot. And over the last week, Brian Callen came in a few days. That was pretty cool. But, I mean, nothing against all those other guests. It's just, I don't know. It just seems different now. So his first show back, he had, 2.5 million views so far on this one. Dave was my favorite personality on that show. 100% Bilbo. And it took me a while to warm up to him, but I mean, half the time I watched Crowder on at the end there, I was watching because like I wanted to hang out I wanted to see Dave. Dave was always really funny, especially during the time when they were off YouTube. And Dave kind of let his freak flag fly a little bit extra, and it was a really, really funny show for a while. And this might just be the nature of these shows being out longer than the older ones, but we have, his first show, 2.5 million, 2.2 million, 2.16, backup 2.4, 2.4, 2.3, 1.5, 1.9, 1.6, 1.7, 1.3, going down. His little side story thing that, I don't think those videos are ever as popular as his actual live show, but he did a special on the untold history of Muhammad Ali's political conversion. Only 306K, but the last show of last Thursday, I mean, we were at 1.1 million views. So to compare and contrast with that, obviously right now the YouTube numbers get the shit kicked out of them when compared to the Rumble numbers. I mean, you're essentially looking at less than a quarter of the views, 200,000-ish, 136,000. And even going back to, I think they had to remove some of the videos after they got their strike, or YouTube removed them. But with one of the Alex Jones videos, Alex Jones guests, let's see, that was the video after he first came back, and so that's at 500,000 views so far. But the YouTube views obviously are not there. So his primary audience now, by not a little bit, is watching on Rumble. It appears, at least right now. But looking at the numbers from before their break, I mean, they're at, 500,000 plus solid on YouTube. And this was before he had any kind of substantial Rumble audience at all. So I'm just very interested. These numbers are all very anecdotal. And then, of course, the older the videos are, the more views they can occur over time. And so it's not exactly, it's nothing like objective. It's just a feeling I have. I was very curious about it. And I just don't think the show is what it used to be. And maybe that's just my feeling. But, I mean, I think Donovan's watched a couple of them, maybe, here and there. I don't think he's really, I try to watch it every day just to kind of, fill up the day's content, if you will. But I don't think he's been watching too many of them, and I don't really have a good excuse for him to come on back and watch Crowder every day, because it's a real hit or miss, man, at least in my opinion. So if you're a Crowder fan, I hope you're watching, you support Rumble. I know you got to go sign up for Mug Club very soon if you want access to the whole show. So I'm wondering how many people will be doing that, and if the views will be changing on Rumble after the free month ends. So moving on from Mr. Steven Crowder, we have an update in the Anheuser-Busch boycott saga. And we have our very first response from Anheuser-Busch. And it should be no surprise to anybody that it came out on a Friday afternoon, because if you want to dodge news, that's how you dodge news. So we're going to read it, and then we're going to go through some of the comments, because the comments are pretty fire. Because everybody that's really pissed off at Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch right now are pissed off at this response. Some people label it some kind of an apology. There is nothing in here that is an apology, so we're going to read it, and then we'll go through a little bit of the comments and see if we can find some good ones. Let me get some. I got to sip my beer a little bit. Okay. So they say, our responsibility to America. As the CEO of a company founded in America's heartland more than 165 years ago, I am responsible for ensuring every customer feels proud of the beer we brew. Okay? We're honored to be a part of the fabric of this country, and our Anheuser-Busch employs more than 18,000 people, and our independent distributors employ an additional 47,000 valued colleagues. Excuse me. We have thousands of partners, millions of fans, and a proud history supporting our communities, military, first responders, sportsmen, and hardworking Americans every day. Just making statements. That's what we're doing right now. We're making statements saying, we do good in America. We never intended to be part of a discussion that divides people. We are in the business of bringing people together over a beer. It's probably the closest thing they get to acknowledging anything about what has happened and transpired over the last 2 weeks. We never intended to be a part of a discussion that divides people. That right there, that line right there, I think kind of is like, well, yeah, we're acknowledging in like a peripheral way that we know people are pissed off. My time serving this country taught me the importance of accountability and the values upon which America was founded: freedom, hard work, and respect for one another. As CEO of Anheuser-Busch, I am focused on building and protecting our remarkable history and heritage. Okay, so he drops in there that he did time serving the country, apparently, and he is here for upholding the values of accountability and freedom and hard work. I care deeply about this country, this company, our brands, and our partners. I spend much of my time traveling across America, listening to and learning from our customers, distributors, and others. Moving forward, I will continue to work tirelessly to bring great beers to consumers across our nation. Signed, B.R. Whitworth, I think, CEO, Anheuser-Busch. So there it is. That's their official statement. The first thing to come out since the controversy, the Dylan Mulvaney-fueled controversy, has happened. Gad said it's very disappointing that you did not feature any Lebanese Jewish trans women of color in your statement. As a non-binary, two-spirited person myself, I love Gad said. He's such a troll. I feel as though my voice is being erased by you. Do better. Perhaps hire Sam Smith for the spokesperson. Let's see. This is 200 words of nothing. It took them a week to put this together. Their only chance was to come out the next day and say this was all a big April Fool's joke, which, I mean, they had the chance to do because it did come out on April 1st. We'll just say that. It did happen on April Fool's, and nobody really saw it. Oh, that's good. Please come back. Haha, boycott, go burr. I like that. I like that. People posted Miller Lite. Oh, there's a classic. Classic throwing beer cans down. Shout out Letterkenny. They could simply issue an apology and say that from now on they are going to get out of politics and sell beer, but they seem to want to keep on lecturing. I don't know about that, but it would be very good for a company to just take a blatantly nuanced, apolitical stance and be like, "Hey, we make beer. We're just our bad. We're gonna make beer now, and then people are gonna buy our beer, and then that's it." But hey, as a beer drinker who does not drink anything like Bud Light, I support all of this because the less crappy beer there is out there, I'm a huge fan of that situation. I mean, especially when they're owned by they're owned by I think it's a Belgian corporation that just kind of owns. They own multiple other corporations that own like Anheuser-Busch and all this good stuff. It's never that great. So there it is, though. We got our official response from Anheuser-Busch, and we will see where this goes. I mean, their stock is down. Their revenue cap is severely diminished. I think they've lost around like $5 to $6 billion in revenue cap. So we'll see where this goes. We'll see where it goes. Next up, we have... Oh, yeah, this one. Okay, so... Germany has decided once again that now that they have slightly more control over their energy situation, courtesy of us blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline just in time for the Nordic pipeline to come on play, or whatever that one was called that came from, I believe, Norway. They're now back in the game of shutting down their last nuclear energy sites. So the atomic angst over, Germany closes last nuclear plants. This comes from Reuters. Berlin, April 14th. Germany will pull the plug on its last 3 nuclear power stations by Saturday, ending a 6-decade program that spawned one of Europe's strongest protest movements, but saw a brief reprieve during the Ukraine war. And now, like I said, now that the Nord Stream pipeline fiasco is done and they have their free-flowing Western oil coming in, they seem to just be back on their old tilt. The smoking towers of Isar 2, Emsland, and Neckarwestheim 2 reactors were to shut forever by midnight on Saturday as Berlin enacts its plan for fully renewable energy generation by 2035. Also, don't call them smoking towers because they're not. It's not smoke. It's just steam. It's part of cooling and making energy. But hey, that's fine, Reuters. Following years of provocation, Germany pledged to quit nuclear power definitively after Japan's 2011 Fukushima disaster sent radiation spewing into the air and terrifying the world. But the final wind down was delayed last summer to this year after Moscow's invasion of Ukraine prompted Germany to halt Russian fossil fuel imports. Prices soared, and there were fears of energy shortages around the world. But now Germany is confident again about gas supplies and expansion of renewables. Germany's commercial nuclear sector began with the commissioning of the Kohl reactor in 1961, eagerly promoted by politicians but met with skepticism by companies. 7 commercial plants joined the grid in the early years with the 1970s oil crisis helping public acceptance. Yeah, that would have been a really big deal back then. I mean, we had issues with the oil embargo and all that stuff here in the United States, and so that definitely probably prompted the Europeans to really get on it. We weren't exactly the oil powerhouse that we can be today. Expansion, however, was throttled to avoid harming the coal sector, said Nichols Welder, a spokesman for Germany's nuclear technology industry group, KernD. But by the 1990s, more than a third of electricity in the newly reunited, Germany came from 17 reactors. The next decade, a coalition government, including the Greens, who grew out of the 1970 anti-nuclear movement, introduced a law that would have led to a phase-out of all reactors by about 2021. Former Chancellor Angela Merkel, conservative-led governments went back and forth on that until Fukushima, and obviously leads us to today, where they will be shutting down their last 3 nuclear reactors as of tomorrow. Probably not the greatest call, Germany, but hey, whatever. I mean, why would you... I just don't get why you would want... I mean, do you have concerns about your nuclear energy system? It drives me nuts that you're just going to shut off a perfectly fine source of power. You're not going to be slowing down on the carbon-heavy oil and coal, but you're going to be slowing down the cleanest energy that you're producing in your country, which is your nuclear energy. But hey, I guess that's the logic of green energy. And we've talked about this place before. Back here in the home front, California's last surviving nuclear plant. We talked about at the time when California was going so green, but during the heat of the heat wave, all the issues with power they had back then, Governor Newsom ended up signing some executive orders, and they were able to save the Diablo Canyon nuclear plant from being shut down during about the worst time to even consider shutting down power plants. But alas, we're back on it. COVID is officially over, and so the fight to shut down green energy is officially back upon us in California. So their last nuclear plant, the Diablo, faces closure against a lawsuit. An environmental group on Tuesday sued the Block Pacific Gas and Electric Company, PG&E, for seeking to extend the federal operating license for California's last active nuclear power plant. A complaint filed in San Francisco Superior Court by advocacy group Friends of the Earth asked the court to prohibit the utility from sidestepping its 2016 agreement with environmentalists and plant workers to close the 2-domed Diablo Canyon nuclear plant by 2025. In a Twitter post, the environmental group says, we're taking PG&E to court to make sure that California's last remaining nuclear plant is retired. We won't stop until the aging, destructive canyon is closed for good. Hallie Templeton, legal director for Friends of the Earth, called out PG&E for allegedly backing out of their agreement. Quote, contracts simply don't vanish into thin air, Templeton said in a statement. Yet ever since California passed legislation supporting Diablo Canyon's extension, PG&E has been acting as if our contract has disappeared, setting aside the agreement to retire Diablo. There are a myriad of legal prerequisites for extending operations of the nuclear power plant, including federal discussion that states cannot dictate. But we hope our litigation can push PG&E to reconsider its potential breach and uphold its obligations, including preparing for the agreed-upon retirement. So this is going to have to work its way through the court, and then they'll either be upheld, or whatever legislation was passed in California to keep it alive temporarily will overrule the agreed upon contract. So we'll see what happens, but I have a feeling that it is California going to do what California does, and it will not have a nuclear reactor anytime soon. So we will see. We'll keep an eye on that one. You know, me and my tracking of green energy. Now, this little story is really, really interesting because my wife is directly affected by it because she's up in Alaska right now. And as it turns out, there's a Russian volcano that erupted the other day, and it's causing flight issues. And I just had to look into it, and I've had a couple conversations with people recently, and they're like, wait a minute. I didn't even think they had volcanoes in Russia. Who would have thought? So we're gonna learn about what happens when a Russian volcano goes off. This comes from Anchorage Daily News. Flight disruptions continue Friday in Alaska as volcanic ash drifts from Russia. Flight flight disruptions to, from, and within Alaska continued Friday morning as volcanic ash drifted over the southern part of the state following an eruption in Russia's far east. On Thursday, 51 Alaska Airlines flights were canceled, the company said in a statement. By 11 a.m. Friday, 37 more flights were canceled. More cancellations were possible and delays were likely, Alaska Airlines said. We continue to monitor the location, movement, and timing of the ash clouds, specifically over southeast Alaska and eastern Washington, the statement said. Okay, here we go. The Shovluk volcano, probably not saying that right, but I'm not Russian, so leave me alone, began erupting Tuesday, spreading ash clouds more than 6 miles into the air. That's way up there. A long, thin cloud of ash passed first over the Aleutian Islands, Bering Sea, and Gulf of Alaska, east of Kodiak Island. So here, they got a nice little peninsula there that juts south over in southeastern Russia. And that whole peninsula there is actually littered with a number of, high mountains and volcanoes. And obviously we can, if we remember so long ago during the Obama-McCain presidential race, when Sarah Palin was chosen, she had that keen line that's been memed 1,000 times over and said, "Oh, I can see Russia from my house," And just to illustrate how close Russia and Alaska are, obviously, a volcano goes off in Russia, depending on which way the wind blows, it lands in parts of Alaska. And so right now there's a gang of flights. People have just been hanging out in Alaska since I think Thursday. On Friday morning, the cloud stretched from Anchorage to portions of southeast Alaska and into Canada, said Roland Voles, an aviation forecaster at the National Weather Service. A large concentration remained over the central area of the Gulf of Alaska, he said. And then we could take a look at that satellite issue of the... That's just not a very long little video, is it? There we go. You see the ash cloud kind of continuing to roll through. This is southern Alaska over on this side, getting into BC and eastern Washington. So obviously something that's going to continue for the time being. The cloud moved east overnight and was expected to continue in that direction, Vol said. It was beginning to diminish Friday morning in areas where it moved inland. He said volcanic ash is a danger for jets because it is abrasive and can cause engines to fail. Yeah, usually engines have like air and perhaps maybe some water vapor from clouds that pass through them. They don't usually have pure carbon, which is just comes from volcanic ash. But I mean, you could see in this area, these are Russian scientists around the area just wading through snow and ash from the volcano. So there's your little fun fact for the day. Russia does indeed have volcanoes, and sometimes they explode and spew ash 6 miles into the sky. All right, now let's get serious again. We got to get serious again because the leaks, and the leaker. Let's see. We'll start off with a little update from our lovely Attorney General of the United States, Merrick Garland.
Today, the Justice Department arrested...
We should probably turn audio on so you can hear it. There we go.
Today, the Justice Department arrested Jack Douglas Teixeira in connection with an investigation into alleged unauthorized removal, retention, and transmission of classified national defense information. Teixeira is an employee of the United States Air Force National Guard. FBI agents took Teixeira into custody earlier this afternoon without incident. He will have an initial appearance at the U.S. District Court for the District of Massachusetts. I want to thank the FBI, Justice Department prosecutors, and our colleagues at the Department of Defense for their diligent work on this case. This investigation is ongoing. We will share more information at the appropriate time.
Sure you will, buddy. All right, so Jack Teixeira, little background to this, because we're not going to get into the full leak of all the documents. We're going to be saving that for probably the next podcast. We'll get deep into some of that. There's been lots and lots of various reporting on different aspects of it, and depending on who your sources are, they've been slightly different depending on who it is you're watching or listening to. So it'll be very interesting to break into some of those. It's been incredibly hard to try to find said documents because they were uploaded to the internet in picture form. It wasn't like a link to a data place. It wasn't linked directly to a place like WikiLeaks or to a press outlet or anything like that. They were just released on the internet in specifically a specific Discord server. But we'll get into all that in great detail on the next show, so we can dig into some of the actual content of what was in those leaks, which I think when you look at the actual U.S. intel that was picked up, it kind of made a lot of people look bad. It's going to cause tensions with some of our allies, and it kind of shed light into some of the things happening in Ukraine that we were not supposed to hear. But we will cover that in depth, like I said, on the next podcast episode in its full next Saturday when we do episode 146. But in the meantime, they have captured the suspect, 21-year-old Jack Teixeira, National Guardsman. He's 21 years old and works at the base in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Video came out of his arrest the other day as he was taken into custody without incident, as they say. A member of the Air National Guard, which I thought was very, very interesting. There's starting to become a narrative that's come out about this guy. That some people are trying to take sides. Some people are calling him a whistleblower. Some people are just calling him a leaker. Again, I think the substantive conversation about what was in those docs and all that, I think we'll be able to hammer out some more of that on the next podcast show next Saturday. I'm still not really made up my mind whether I think this guy was just leaking intel. I mean, that's really what it was. It doesn't appear that he had any patriotic motivations involved. But again, that I think some more will come out over the next week, and perhaps we'll have a better picture to paint with that one. But for now, he's been identified with all the help of the media was able to give, and he is now in custody. He's been. We'll read this story from ABC News. Air National Guardsman is detained by judge on charges of leaking classified documents. Jack Teixeira, 21-year-old Massachusetts Air National Guardman, arrested in connection with the leak of classified documents. Feared federal authorities were on to him days before his apprehension. Court documents showed Friday. Judge David Hennessy told Teixeira in his first court appearance here Friday that he was being charged with possessing classified documents pertaining to national security and possessing national defense materials. The charge carries a maximum of 10 years behind bars. Teixeira, I keep saying like Teixeira on April 6th, quote, used his government computer to search classified intelligence reporting for the word leak, according to an FBI affidavit supporting his arrest. I still don't really understand what that means. I've read that line 5,000 times. Teixeira used his government computer to search classified intelligence reporting for the words, quote, leak. Okay. Either way. The first media reports about the leak were published that day. The FBI said, meaning that Teixeira was searching for classified reporting regarding the U.S. intelligence community's assessment of the identity of the individual who transmitted classified defense information. Oh, so it sounds like he was at work and found out that they were coming after him, which obviously, bro. As Sarah appeared in court, at least 3 family members in attendance hugged and consoled one another after Teixeira, wearing a tan brown jumpsuit, was ushered to the defense table by U.S. Marshals. Family member appeared to say, "I love you," as the defendant seemed to respond, "I love you too," NBC Boston reported. Teixeira was not required to enter a plea during this initial court appearance on Friday. His next court appearance was set for Wednesday. So I'm sure we'll get an update on Wednesday. And, I mean, I have a feeling this kid's not going to see the outside of jail cell for quite a long time. Following the brief hearing, Teixeira supporters left the courthouse linking arms but did not answer reporters' questions outside. A federal public defender listed as Teixeira's attorney could not be immediately reached for comment on Friday. Teixeira was arrested Thursday afternoon at his home in North Dighton, Massachusetts. Federal officers say Teixeira, who holds the rank of Airman First Class, has held top secret security clearance since 2021, the FBI said. An agent contacted an unnamed administrator of a social media platform popular with gamers where the documents, many of which pertained to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, started appearing last December. Last December is when he began to share documents on this social media platform, as they say. It's Discord. What they're talking about is Discord. I don't know why everybody seems to be like stepping around this thing and just call it a social media platform, but slightly more in depth than a social media platform. For example, you can't just join there. It's like lists of private servers. So we have our own Discord for Salt of the Streets, and you can't just join somebody's server most of the time. Most of the time, it's like a closed, semi-private server where only certain people can come in, or they have to adhere to specific rules that you set, or they have to wait for an invite or something. So it's not like a Facebook. It's not like an Instagram. It's not like any of that. It's very, very different. It's closer to Reddit than anything else, but it's all on its own. And so it sounds to me like the federal government got in touch with Discord and they helped them get to this person's information in the specific Discord server. That witness told investigators he had online video conversations with the poster, who called himself Jack and appeared to reside in Massachusetts, claimed that he was in the United States Air National Guard, the FBI said. The final investigatory move leading to Teixeira's arrest appeared to unfold rapidly. The social media platform on Wednesday provided the FBI with records pursuant to legal process, which led Agent 2 Teixeira. The affidavit said the witness identified the suspect on Thursday from Teixeira's DMV photo, according to the affidavit. Teixeira entered the Air National Guard in 2019. We don't really care, to be perfectly honest. But they got him. That's the whole deal. And so as this goes on, again, he's got his second court hearing on Wednesday. This was, I'm sure, just a very quick get you in, get your fingerprint, and get in the system, get you to jail. We'll start the real case next week. So we'll find out some more info on that. And perhaps next Friday on the Beer Show, I will have an update for you. But in the meantime, it's really shaking the United States government's intelligence community. They're really upset about this, particularly because they realized that not only was there these secret classified documents leaked, they also didn't know they'd been leaking since December of last year. So, the U.S. intelligence agency may change how they monitor social media chat rooms after missing leaked U.S. documents for weeks. President Biden and other officials were dismayed when they learned the documents had been online for at least a month. Nobody is happy about this, said one official. The Biden administration is looking to expand how it monitors social media sites and chat rooms after U.S. intelligence agency failed to spot classified Pentagon documents circulating online for weeks, according to the senior administration official and a congressional official briefed on the matter. For fuck's sakes, people, just give us names. It's not that difficult. Come on. I hate this. How is anybody supposed to trust you? You just say, senior administration official, congressional official briefed on the matter. All right, whatever. Anyways, the possible change in the intelligence gathering process is just one potential shift as officials scramble to determine not only how the documents leaked, but also how to prevent another damaging leak. President Joe Biden and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin were briefed about the disclosure last week. Administration officials said, but the secret documents appeared online in early March on the Discord social media app. According to Bellcat, the open source investigative group, some documents may have altered or appeared as early as January, the group said. December, January, either way, we're talking not just weeks, but months that these things have been on here. And obviously that's got the U.S. government going, okay, well, how can we better spy on Americans online to make sure they're not leaking classified documents? That seems like a very appropriate response, does it not? How do we spy on all these platforms to make sure there's nothing going on that shouldn't be going on? It smells of Snowden. That's what it says. It smells of Snowden. The president and other officials were dismayed when they learned the documents had been online for at least a month. Quote, nobody is happy about this. The senior administration official, the administration is now looking to expand the universe of online sites that intelligence agencies and law enforcement authorities track, the official said. The secret Pentagon documents appeared in an obscure part of the internet focused on gaming, and some former intelligence officials said it was understandable that U.S. authorities did not spot the disclosure. Yes, the internet's a big place. That's all I'm going to say. The internet's a big place. The U.S. government may not have been looking for, but cybersecurity experts have long known that Discord has been used by criminals and hackers to spread malware and stealthily transfer stolen information. Quote, the Discord domain helped attackers disguise the exfiltration of data by making it look like it was another traffic, like any other traffic coming across the network, said a 2021 report by Cisco Talos cybersecurity team. Yeah, see, that's the whole deal. These documents were, it seems that they were like in some kind of PowerPoint presentation style, some kind of tile-based presentation. And the quick picture that I have seen of the documents had essentially, like, they were printed out, folded in 4 pieces, and then later on unfolded, and then pictures were taken of a phone or from a phone, and those pictures were uploaded to the Discord as probably JPEGs. So we're just talking a standard, picture file, and without actually getting into that file and looking at the actual picture, there's really no easy way for any kind of program to detect what it was that was in those documents. So of course, I mean, it's almost better than the old school dead drop style of actual paper documents back like during the Cold War era. A picture of a meme or a picture of or a GIF or something like that, that's very, very common on Discords. It's just usually people, shooting up text, shooting memes, sharing pictures, stuff like this. There's no really easy way to detect what is actually within those pictures. It's just your standard picture data. So it's no wonder. And it bothers me with all the talk from the Restrict Act lately, that they're obviously going to be trying to focus in on this aspect of spying on us and leaving us with another corner of the internet that has no privacy away from the government. So we'll see what happens with this as it goes along. But obviously, you don't piss off the U.S. intel community without repercussions. So we'll see where that goes. I think getting into kind of some more, we'll say, geopolitical type stuff. I saw this tweet come out from Insider Paper, who is, they could be hit or miss every now and again, but it said, quote, breaking, evacuate immediately to a building or underground. Japan issued alert that the North Korean missile is expected to fall in or around Hokkaido in a few minutes. And I was like, whoa, pause button. What's going on? What's going on in Japan? So start digging, not hearing anything, not really seeing anything. And eventually I see another tweet from them saying, breaking, North Korea's missile has fallen into the ocean. Evacuation order lifted in Japan's Hokkaido region. All right. So turns out we had another nuke, an ICBM launch from North Korea the other day that I was unaware of until I saw this tweet. And it turns out this one's a little different apparently than the last one. So North Korea missile launch has new kind of ICBM, regime says, as first images appear. North Korea claims it has successfully tested a solid fuel intercontinental ballistic missile for the first time. I don't really know what the solid fuel is compared to a liquid fuel. I'm not totally sure with that one. But it's new, and apparently everybody's up in arms about it, so bad. A breakthrough that the country's leader, Kim Jong-un, warned would make its enemies suffer in endless fear. How about, what was that Donald Trump said? Be burning hellfire or something like that. Will rain hellfire down on you. Suffer in endless fear doesn't really have the same, chutzpah that DJ Trump has in his slang. Anyway, South Korea's military said it had detected a launch on Thursday morning of one medium-range or longer ballistic missile on a elevated trajectory from near the North Korean capital, Pyongyang. The U.S. National Security Council described it as a long-range missile, while Japanese government said it likely had intercontinental range. The missile flew upwards at a steep angle, apparently to reduce the risk of it accidentally striking neighboring countries, and is believed to have covered a distance of 1,000 kilometers, 620 miles. Although experts say that flown at a regular trajectory, it could cover much longer distances. North Korea's state media said the regime had tested a new type of intercontinental ballistic missile called the Hwasong 18. Its predecessor, the liquid-fueled Hwasong 17, which the regime tested in March, has an operational range of 15,000 kilometers, far enough to reach the U.S. mainland. Thursday's launch triggered a scare in North Japan, where Hokkaido's residents were told to take cover, though it turned out to be no danger. Quote, the test proved the new intercontinental ballistic missile military efficiency as a strategic attack capability, the North official KCNA news agency said. So we got more nuclear missiles being capable in North Korea, which is just fun for everybody to think about, especially as we think about World War III turning, which is always a really fun thing to do, isn't it? Don't we all just love when North Korea gets rowdy and starts launching missiles? And on top of that, Germany has finally approved Poland's request to send old fighter jets to Ukraine. We're just going to touch on that real quick, because basically this was already the deal we knew was going to be done when Poland said they were going to be sending MiG-29s to Ukraine along with Slovakia and stuff like that. It just turns out that Poland, who was prepared to send these jets with or without the consent of Germany, still, for some reason, had to have Germany's consent for them to be transferred, and Germany has now approved that. So one last hurdle for the Ukrainians to receive more jets has been cleared, and I'm sure those MiG-29s will make their way down there in short order. And so that, ladies and gentlemen, is where we will be leaving today's show, even though there's going to be a little bit more left right here on the back end. This is where I bid you all adieu. A fantastic weekend. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you all back here next week. Of course, be sure to follow me on the socials. I'm at Big Bird Offie on all the things. My cohort and brother-in-arms is alpaca_Donovan on Instagram and at Salt Street on Twitter. And we, of course, are at Salt Street on all the other things. So be sure to check all that stuff out. And without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy this little sneak preview of the current Salted Streets Book Club video, which is out now and available on our YouTube. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Hello, thank you for joining me. My name is Donovan from Salted Streets, and this is the review preview for the months of March and April. Our March book was 1984 by George Orwell, and our April book is Different Seasons by Stephen King. It's actually only 2 of the stories from different seasons, so don't worry about the title so much. Don't worry that you couldn't see it. Don't worry I didn't put it on there. It'll be okay because it's really just 2 stories out of here. So we'll get into that a little bit later. We will start with the review portion. 1984. This book, I actually really enjoy this time. I enjoy it more and more every time that I read it. I always try and think back to the first time that I read it, which was in pre-AP in the 9th grade, freshman year of high school, and I didn't get it at all. The only thing that I really remembered from it was the rat scene, was just when he's being threatened by the rat, he's being tortured. That's the only thing that I really remembered when I went to read it again as an adult. And now I try and remember the stuff that I don't like about it. And this time around, the only thing I could remember not liking was the portion of the book where Winston is reading Goldstein's book. I found that part to be exceedingly boring. This time around, I really enjoyed it. And I'm not sure if it's... No, I think it's because, and I believe that I discussed this with Colin, I believe that I enjoyed it this time around because we are, as a country, involved in kind of more active warfare than any of the other times that I'd read this book, that we are kind of involved in what's going on in Ukraine. So to see the power structures and the different teams being drawn out, it was more reminiscent of the book. And so it was a little bit easier to relate to modern day and kind of just bring into my own life. So, all right, and this is our second reading for this, second and final reading, and this is from page 58. The new ration did not start till tomorrow, and he had only 4 cigarettes left. For the moment, he had shut his ears to the remoter noises and was listening to the stuff that streamed out of the telescreen. It appeared that there had even been demonstrations to thank Big Brother for raising the chocolate ration to 20 grams a week. And only yesterday, he reflected, it had been announced that the ration was to be reduced to 20 grams a week. Was it possible that they could swallow that after only 24 hours? Yes, they swallowed it. Parsons swallowed it easily, with the stupidity of an animal. The eyeless creature at the other table swallowed it fanatically, passionately, with a furious desire to track down, denounce, and vaporize anyone who should suggest that last week the ration had been 30 grams. Syme, too, in some more complex way involving doublethink, Syme swallowed it. Was he then alone in the possession of a memory? Okay, so now I want to talk about doublethink. And this is a big concept. I have a couple of different readings for it, and we talk about this part of 1984 maybe more than any of the other ones. It is present in modern day. It happens consistently. It's difficult to watch. It's difficult to conceptualize, and it's difficult to put into words. It's the same thing as when someone asks you, what is a woman, or what is an assault rifle, or what is critical race theory? For depending on your political ideology, these are very difficult questions to answer. And so I'm going to give you probably the best thing that I could find for a definition of doublethink, and then we'll talk about some other stuff, like I said, some other readings as well. This is from page 212. The first and simplest stage in the discipline, which can be taught to even young children, is called newspeak, crime stop. Crime stop means the faculty of stopping short, as though by instinct, at the threshold of any dangerous thought. It includes the power of not grasping analogies, of failing to perceive logical errors, of misunderstanding the simplest arguments if they are inimical to ingsoc, and of being bored or repelled by any train of thought which is capable of leading in a heretical direction. Crime stop, in short, means protective stupidity. But stupidity is not enough. On the contrary, orthodoxy in the full dense demands a control over one's own mental process as complete as that of a contortionist over his body. Oceanic society rests ultimately on the belief that Big Brother is omnipotent and the party is infallible. But since in reality Big Brother is not omnipotent and the party is not infallible, there is need for an unwearying, moment-to-moment flexibility in the treatment of facts. The key word here is black-white. Like so many newspeak words, the word has 2 mutually contradictory meanings. Applied to an opponent, it means the habit of impudently claiming that black is white, in contradiction of the plain facts. Applied to a party member, it means a loyal willingness to say that black is white when party discipline demands this. But it means also the ability to believe that black is white, and more, to know that black is white, and to forget that one has ever believed the contrary. This demands a continuous alteration of the past, made possible by the system of thought which really embraces all the rest, and which is known in newspeak as doublethink. This is called Different Seasons by Stephen King. Page and pace, 8 pages a day for both these stories.
Let's
and I will
go.
tell you,
we got this.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I started Shawshank earlier this week, and I'm on page 64. So it's really good. This particular version I have is very small. I bought another one. This is Shane's copy of it. Shout out Cleveland. But I bought one. It's driving me crazy to not write in this book. So I bought one this week. It was supposed to be at work today. I was going to stop by and get it. It wasn't there yet. So it's supposed to arrive on Monday. And then I will switch to my new version, and I'm going to start annotating because it drives my wife crazy, and I love it. I also love the idea of letting someone borrow one of my books and they can read the shit that I thought of it. They also might fucking hate that, right? I bet some people will absolutely hate that. I like the idea that someone is like, wow, it's really interesting to know what he thinks about this book, because I think that what I think is interesting.
Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready.